This shooter is one of the best in 2024, and yet hardly anybody is talking about it. I feel like this game needs so much more attention than what it is actually getting. Welcome to the finals. A team-based first-person shooter with a game show vibe to it, kind of like Hunger Games. If you remember the game Radical Heights, which had a brief window of existence, it gives me some of those vibes with the way the announcers are talking and kind of over the top with some of it. So it's already in a fun setting, but this game was developed by Embark Studios, whose CEO was actually in charge of DICE, of course, the creators of Battlefield, until 2018. So that doesn't include 2042, don't worry. But of course, with a new Battlefield game on the horizon, this could be a good game to experience in order to scratch some of that itch before we get it, or potentially even completely replace it for you, because this is not really competing directly with a Battlefield style of game, but it does have a lot of elements that you would immediately recognize. On top of that, the game is extremely well received. Steam reviews can be notoriously harsh, but man, this is a mostly positive, and a lot of people have a lot of great things to say on this for good reason. Of course, we don't know the player counts on PlayStation, Xbox, everything exactly, but from my understanding, there's 400,000 daily active users. When the game first came out, though, it had its record peak, specifically on Steam, over 200,000 players. Dwindled down quite a bit, but it just had a massive boom. Season 4 of this game recently released, and it was definitely highly anticipated. Now, one of the biggest selling points for this game is just how destructive the maps are. This is that bit that I think you will recognize from Battlefield, and I think this goes even crazier. With a wide variety of rocket launchers, grenades, even landmines that you can use on top of sledgehammers, you can charge through walls on this. The catastrophic damage that then completely collapses buildings on top of each other, and you can even use to blow a hole in the wall and pull an objective through it, or drop it down a floor in order to make a crazy play. If you enjoy some of the Levolution elements that are in Battlefield, while it's not as crazy of a massive scale for it, there is still so much destruction. If you see a zip line up, you could just break it. That route is gone. That alone makes a whole nother skill gap that you could make incredible plays with. But the way this game is designed is in 3 base classes that are based on weight. There's the light class, who focuses on speed over power. They're the only class that can have a sniper rifle, very small hitbox obviously, and their weapons can be devastating but don't have much health and can die very quickly. But if you like speed, their dash ability, their cloaking, where you can go invisible. Acolyte was making some plays with this that were just mind-blowing, including standing right next to an objective. Nobody could see him. If you're standing perfectly still, it's like you're invisible. You actually can be. There's the heavy, which is kind of your classic tank build, obviously much easier to hit because it's huge, moves slower, but is also flush with so much health and some good firepower, although most of it's close range with even some heavy melee. Brings some range firepower with an RPG. This is typically the guy who's breaking holes in walls. You can slam into it's crazy. You can also carry an extra weapon, which can be a huge advantage depending on what kit you want to take, and I'll get to some of that in a second. But the last one is the medium class, which is the main one that I've been playing. It kind of feels like you're just standard shooter class, which is mostly what I was going for with it, especially being relatively new to the game. I played it a lot during the beta, but multiple reasons I might get into here, I ended up moving away from it for a while. You can also take on more of a support type of role, which I always love. Being a field medic in Battlefield, you can literally be the healer for the squad. But the nice thing amongst all of these kits is that there's a lot of flexibility. You're not choosing a specific person or operator that you're taking on this class and character and listen to their same voice lines all the time. You just choose that weight, and then you can have any build that you want within this. You basically have 4 equipment slots with a whole range of different equipment, some being similar between the light and medium or heavy and medium, which I think makes everything simpler when you're kind of choosing what to play and just figuring the game out. Because you don't need to remember a whole bunch of different characters' names and classes and all of that stuff. The game modes is where we saw an interesting curveball that I think split the community on this game, though. There's 4 basic different modes that are in the game. Terminal attack was one of the newer ones which caused it. This is your attack and defend mode. Only 1 life, essentially your search and destroy. 1 life per round. This is not how the game was initially created or hyped up or anything. And in Season 3, the previous one, they had completely shifted the game where this was the ranked game that you played. It was kind of nice because there's more people per team. And to me, it kind of showed the flexibility that the development team has to even be able to completely shift their game. At least I did not see this being the direction that the game went. They had some other newer modes that they had added. Power Shift was one where you're on moving platforms across the map. With the more people on the platform from your team, the faster that it moves. Platforms even bust through obstacles, breaking things down. First team to bring the platform back to their base wins. It's a very fast-paced mode, which is more what this game is around, including Bank It, where you open vaults to get coins, but in order to count those, you have to actually go somewhere and bank it. Throw the money in the box, defend it until it's secured, which is the main one that we played, is cash out, where you have to go open a vault, grab the cash, bring it to a deposit, and then defend this point. Once the timer runs out, whoever owns the point gets all of the cash. So you could go in at the last second, steal that point, and then get all of the reward for it, which we actually got an incredible win from. But within all of these modes, the big catch with it, of course, around the name of the game, the finals, is that you're trying to make it to the finals. It gives you some of that rush of what you would get from a battle royale where, you know, you go in with 150 people and it comes down to one team winning. But in a little bit more of a controlled scenario, of course, a tournament. You go through 3 rounds, 2 qualifiers, and then 1 finale against the last other team standing, which then, to me, makes it even more competitive than what a battle royale even feels like, especially for the rank side of things, which I'll touch on in a second. So with Season 4, they brought back this competitive mode of the actual proper tournaments, the crazy fast-paced action that is the game, not instantaneous respawns and limited number of lives as you go, but still quite fast-paced and aggressive game. In addition to the typical battle pass you see from a game like this, you also have 3 different sponsor tracks, and I haven't even mentioned this yet, but this game is free to play. It's available cross-play for PC, Xbox, PlayStation. There's no pay to win in it. The gameplay itself is so smooth. It's doing something different. Outside of a couple of crashes that I experienced the first couple of seasons that I had played, all of my experience the last couple days that I've been on have been incredible. No crashes, issues. When I asked my buddies to play and they wanted to actually hop on for this, I was thinking about this for days. And the main thing that was bringing us back was this Season 4 change. They brought back the tournaments and this competitive, fast-flowing feel to the game that was more the design of when it initially came out, and they kind of shifted away from for Season 3 for ranked, but not everybody even plays ranked anyways. But it seems like this is their focus again, their unique modes that they've created. There's a separate event where you can get additional, just free cosmetics. You have challenges that you can complete throughout the season. They have a completely new map called Fortune Stadium, which is sweet too, because they even have different times of day and alterations to some of the maps that occur, in addition to some insane events that happen during the game, just completely up to luck. They added 3 new weapons, which seemed extremely powerful. I will say the pike was nuts. Essentially, we're in a DMR meta. It took me embarrassingly long to realize that it was basically hit scan as well. I'm over here trying to lead my shots half the time I was using it. There was a whole bunch of balance changes as well. So they're shifting up the game as you would expect in a season pass, but good to see. I also saw that they added a beard customization for it, which I was a fan of. I think that was new for this season. Big fan of that. So with all of these positives, what is it that's keeping players away? And I don't completely know the answer to it. I'm curious of what you guys think about this. If you've been playing it, in love with it, why isn't, you know, maybe even friends of yours don't want to hop in if you do love the game, or if you don't, what's the biggest detriment to you? One of the things that I think I've realized playing it is how competitive the game is. I will say we were doing the World Tour, which is kind of like a casual mode to the ranked where you go through a tournament, but it's not for rank. But even in that, man, it was insane. Of course, I'm just going to show you the highlights. Fortunately, I didn't die to fall damage the whole time. Of course, there's no fall damage in the game, but you can fall off of a map. But dude, it is crazy. And even in the casual mode, that's just like one game where it's not going through rounds, you still have 20 seconds to wait between respawns, because obviously you have to balance out the healer and the reses with the defibrillators. And because this is a very team-oriented game, you really need coordination for it. And I just am not a fan of playing games like that with randoms, which is why I was so excited to have my friends play with me. You really want to have a full trio for it. And a lot of times I'll just enjoy playing games solo. My buddy Tom did mention they had a solo mode. I never got to experience that. It's not in the game currently. I think it is quite difficult for a game like this. I saw the same thing with Apex Legends. I loved actually when they made the solo mode for Apex way back in the day. They maybe brought it back a couple times since then, but I know that's at least a deterrent for me. And I didn't even mention this yet, but man, I gotta praise their cosmetics. They are so sick. They've got like third-person animations that are emotes that you could also use as like your victory pose. It's not just a victory pose you can use it in game. In addition to first-person animations, you can do full sprinting inspects of your weapons. Your entire character, you buy a bundle from the store, and instead of it just being one item that's the only thing you can wear, it's more individualized, like what Fortnite does, where you've got a back bling that it might come with, a lower and an upper one. You could change out just the torso or just the legs to make some super wacky weird outfit or something sick, because you combine two things that came from different packs but would work well together from it. Like you could put glasses on, a watch, even have a pet on your back. Like the customization level on this is just incredible, which I think might also deter some people, where they're realizing, okay, this is where I'm gonna have to end up spending all the money. I can't get a lot of stuff for free here. But there is a free battle pass, and they're now doing some events in the game that have additional tracks, this sponsor track here. And while some of them are a bit wacky, I think it's more within the theme of this game being a giant game show and for fun and entertainment, versus something like Warzone, which is a war and military, and then they're, you know, a cat-headed person running around, or Snoop Dogg that's actually a dog. But with all of that in mind, and especially right now over the next month where we've kind of got this lull before Black Ops 6 comes out, a lot of people not even interested in that, maybe even just waiting for Warzone to launch with Season 1 of it, or looking for something new in general, I feel like this is one of the best times to even look at or get into this game. I feel like this is one that maybe it hasn't got enough marketing. Maybe not enough people even know about it. I feel like it is such an underrated game for what is being delivered here and how good it is. It also does have a very loyal and active following with it, but I felt like it just needed a little extra praise and attention. After playing it and checking it out, I wanted to do this video on it just for the sake of experiencing the map destruction itself. Is like the first game that I went into, I was just like, it blows you away, man. It's so cool. And what's also very crazy, if you're more into the extraction shooters, which I've been talking on quite a bit lately, the same developers are actually planning to release a third-person extraction game called Arc Raiders. This is supposedly going to be a PvPvE game coming out in 2025 on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. This also has some futuristic vibes to it, where you have to fight robots and drones, as well as, of course, each other. Unlike the finals, though, Arc Raiders is not planned to be free to play, but I don't think that's something I can say is a positive or negative for the game yet. And if it's anywhere near as fun as the finals is, and like how polished, well put together, unique it is for it, I'm eager to see how it goes and what people think of it as well. Speaking of which, let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed if you enjoy all these videos. You can check out my streams that are live on this channel as well every single weekday. Let me know what you think in person, but that's it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. StoneMount64, over and out.